Disney Channel. If you grew up with Disney Channel at any period of time, well, I should say if you grew up with Disney Channel in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, then you know how wonderful the channel used to be. I mean, it was absolutely spectacular. It's a shell of its former self today, but back in the day, it was jam-packed with content. Original content, original movies, Disney and Pixar movies. It was just non-stop. It was the one channel where, I mean, we got bored back in the early 2000s and late 90s because they started repeating stuff, but there was always something. There was always something to watch, and there was just consistent content, and there was a little something for everybody. Now, of course, towards the mid-2000s, they started to lean heavy into the teen girl audience, but there still felt like there was a little bit more balance there to my memory. But then by the time they got to the 2010s, they were just milking their sitcoms dry, and then they gave up on the sitcoms, and now they're just marathoning some cheap animation that they have outside of maybe Hamster and Gretel, the Dan Povenmire show. But other than that, it's just, I'll make a video talking about what is called Disney Channel today. I'll be sure to do that if anybody's interested following this one up. But I thought I'd go over some things that I remember from back in the day. I've got a list up here on Wikipedia of just a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, there's well over 100 shows and movies, and this is the show list. This is the program list. But as far as comedy is concerned, for original programming, I mean, my era would have started in 98, so we have the famous Jet Jackson. Famous Jet Jackson was absolutely spectacular. They don't have a bigger picture, really? Really? That's as far as I can go? Okay. But famous Jet Jackson was amazing. Lee Thompson-Young, Ryan Summers-Baum, Carrie Duff. I don't know what happened to her. I looked her up. She just kind of disappeared. She wasn't really in a whole lot after. I think she was in a couple of other Disney Channel things, and then she just kind of poofed. Now, if you see the reflection of a TV in the background, I apologize. Checkered Past is on, and so I wanted to make sure I helped get the ratings up for Checkered Past, and that's a whole nother subject. But yeah, Jet Jackson was, I mean, it was an action series. What it was, for those who don't know, and I'm sure there are plenty of people who do, but for those who don't know, it was a story about a young black guy named Jet Jackson who plays a character called Silverstone on an action TV series, and he had the production of the series moved to his hometown so he could be with his family. I don't know how you have that much sway in the entertainment industry to do that, but in this show he did. And so it talks about him balancing his life, filming this show within a show, Silverstone, and living his life as Jet Jackson, and both are equally exciting, and it's really good. There's a lot of very heartwarming episodes dealing with a whole bunch of issues of growing up. They do deal with race a couple of times, not like they do today in a woke sense, but in just sort of a generalized sense, and it's really, really good. But Jet Jackson was spectacular. It was a really good show. If you ever get a chance to watch it, if you can find it somewhere, I don't know where it is, definitely take advantage of that for sure. The Jersey was another spectacular show. I really loved this, and this was, again, it wasn't early Disney Channel, but it was my earliest memories of Disney Channel in the late 90s, early 2000s, because I was born in 92, so I don't remember the stuff from the 80s or even the early 90s. I remember the stuff from when Disney was no longer a premium, separate, paid-for channel. It was just a part of your cable bundle, and we got an expanded cable bundle. And I remember when we got Disney for the first time, I believe it was in my parents' bedroom when they got their TV. That's when we got an expanded package, and it was huge. But the Jersey, the premise is Nick Leiter, Morgan Hudson, Coleman Galloway, and Elliot Rifkin are 4 teenagers who discover the magic of the jersey, a mystical football jersey that transports them into the bodies of professional athletes. This is done in a way that is very similar to how Sam, the main character in Quantum Leap, travels from body to body. And there's a different athlete featured in every episode. The show had several athletes as guest actors, and they have a whole list of them here. Wow, Michael Andretti, Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp. Oh yeah, I forgot he actually played ball. Donovan McNabb, oh, he was good. Tony Hawk, Junior Seau. A lot of these were on the roster for backyard football. But anyways, yeah, these kids would be transported into the bodies of these athletes and get to play out as these athletes. And it was cool because if you weren't into sports culture, it kind of got you into sports culture, which was really big in the early 2000s. There was a massive push to get kids into sports and get kids active because there was an obesity epidemic going on, and they just wanted to get kids moving. I had a trampoline and a pool. I had a big enough yard for both. We had a pool for several years, and then I don't remember what year we got the trampoline. We got one trampoline, then that broke, and then we got another one, and we had that until we just got rid of it, and kept us active. And then I got significantly less active because I started watching TV like I had been doing as a kid, but I gave up on the idea of going outside altogether. It just was not fun anymore. There was nobody in the neighborhood, and it was a waste of my time. But that was the jersey. I remember that one fondly. Okay, this is back to the movies. I gotta go back to the regular list. Even Stevens. Oh my gosh, Even Stevens. Shia LaBeouf, Christy Carlson Romano, Nick Spano, Tom Virtue, and Donna Pescow. And then who is the kid who played Beans? There was Tawny, Margot Harshman, Ruby Mendel, Lauren Frost, Beans, Stephen Anthony Lawrence. And it was... Even Stevens is a tough one to describe. It's like a family sitcom, but it's also like a live-action cartoon. I think that's the best description I could give to Even Stevens, is it had a lot of elements that made it feel like it was a live-action cartoon. They did this sort of technique where they would speed up footage to a drum beat, and then they would stop right in the middle of where they needed to be, as opposed to just having exterior shots, which they did have, but then those led into, and I don't know the technical filmography term, but they would lead into sequences where they would be moving to where they need to go at high speed, sort of like fast forwarding it, and then they would stop. It was such a cool gimmick, and there was a lot of funny slapstick and sound effects. It was good, wholesome family fun. They dealt with different family issues. They never got too serious on the show. It was always wacky and over the top. It just was fun. It was just fun. It was actually genius production, created by Matt Dearborn. Genius. Absolute genius. So I love Even Stevens, and it is on Disney Plus, so if you got that, go ahead and watch it. Lizzy Maguire. This was more of something that was for my sister, but it's funny because this, again, they're starting to lean into the teen girl demographic, but they've also got the little brother Matt, who they've got B stories with, and the parents usually did stuff with him where she was in her own little world with Gordo and Miranda, Adam Lambert, and Lelaine. Is it Lelaine? Lelaine Varaga Paris. Sounds Hispanic. I can't really pronounce it, but they usually just say Lelaine because it looks like they can't pronounce the rest like me. So, funny thing, a couple of years ago, they had Lelaine, Hilary Duff, and Jake Thomas at a bowling alley. I guess they had run into each other, and they had a picture the three of them took together, and he was towering over the both of them. It was crazy. It made everybody feel old. It's like, gosh dang, it has been years. Premiered January 12th, 2001, so the year that the country changed forever. Oh boy. That was a good year for Disney, kind of a bad year for America once the fall hit, and 9/11, which, lest we ever forget, I mean. But as far as the show was concerned, it was similar to Even Stevens. It was actually very similar, but I think it dealt a little bit more into the teen girl drama. You had her inner monologue was animated, sort of a crude animated figure that Hilary Duff voiced over. It was fun, and they carried that over into the movie, and the movie was okay. It's one of those things where if you're a teenage girl, it's great. If you're a teenage boy, it's like, when's the Matt segment, you know? I'm not a teenage boy, but just, you're a little brother in my case, because I wasn't a teenager. I was a kid. I want to say 8 or 9. Probably 9 or 10 at that point by 2001. Let's see. That's So Raven. Absolutely, That's So Raven, starring Raven Simone, Orlando Brown, Kyle Massey, Annalise Vanderpool. I can't pronounce the mother's name to save my life, so I'm not even going to try. Rondell Sheridan, who played Victor Baxter. He always did strike me as a comedic type. Apparently he is a comedian. I did not know that. Orlando Brown, he got in some trouble for a couple of years. And then Raven Simone just became hyper-partisan, political, and just identity politics nonsense. Try not to talk about that, but that's so Raven was a good, wholesome show. They did one episode talking about racism. I do remember that, and it was one of the most awkward, out-of-place episodes in the entire series, because up until that point, it had just been just this black, San Francisco family. Let's see, where was it set? Where the heck was it set? Father had his own restaurant called The Chill Grill. I remember that. I think it was San Francisco. I think it was San Francisco. Then they did Raven's Home. But the whole premise of the show was that she had this sort of psychic ability to see events randomly, but she had very little to any context for why it was happening. But she had to use what little information she did to be able to discern what to do, and that created all sorts of shenanigans. And then they had B-plots with Corey and the rest of the family, so it was set up pretty stereotypical for a sitcom of its time, but it was very successful. Had 4 seasons, 100 episodes, legendary show. And then they did a reboot called Raven's Home, and the less said about that, the better. Okay. Phil of the Future. This is one that I feel people don't talk about enough. It only got 2 seasons. 21 episodes for season 1, 22 for season 2. Total of 43 episodes. Starred Ricky Ullman, Amy Bruckner, Allison Machaka, however they say it, the one half of Allie and AJ. She was a good actress. They kind of disappeared. I think they both went into music independently, first together, then independently, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't fully know. Craig Anton and Lisa Sims. Or is it Amy Bruckner? She was in American Dragon Jake Long as well. She was in Phil of the Future. She was Pym, right? Yeah, she was in Pym. And she was the B-plot character. She was the younger sibling. And looks like she's 91. She's a year older than me, so she's 32. And she's, what is she doing now? I think she just took a break from acting and just kind of went off. And then she popped up on social media and everybody freaked out. She did sort of a short saying one of Pym's lines, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh!" I remember that. That was probably 5 or 6 years, probably more than that now. Oh man, I have lost track of time. Have I ever lost track of time? But Phil of the Future, family travels back in time to vacation in the 21st century. Their time machine breaks down, so they're stuck there until they can get it fixed. And then that leads to all sorts of situations. He ends up going to school and befriending Allison Machaka's character, or Machaka, however you say it. You have that's his A-plot, Ricky Ullman's character, Phil, and she's the only one who knows he's from the future. Other people can't know because it's one of those types of shows. It ends with them finally leaving. I remember the finale being very satisfying. It was a very satisfying conclusion. Looks like it was nominated for several awards as well. But it was popular for its time. It ran from 04 to 06. And it looks like they're from the year... What are they? From the year 2121? Because it's 2121 Productions. Where's the plot summary? Did I skip over the plot summary? Is there even one plot summary? List of episodes. Yeah, they don't say which year they're from. I'm believing it's 2121, so they go back to the 21st century. Which, yeah, I'm trying to figure out the logistics of if that's still the 21st century or not, and I can't because my math sucks. Alright, so then after Phil of the Future, we have Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. This was a fun one. I think it's one of those shows that during the first couple seasons it was at its peak, and then once it started to get towards the end, it started getting a little if I'm remembering correctly. I think what sold the show for me was the B-plots with Ashley Tisdale and Brenda Song, because Brenda Song was a sort of over-the-top parody of Paris Hilton, but it was different enough to where, you know, she probably couldn't sue them, you know, because she wasn't blonde and she was Asian because it was Brenda Song. And they had the whole Ashley Tisdale as the voice of reason dynamic, and then there would be crossovers between the A and B plots with Zack and Cody and all their little scheming, and it was good. I thought it was good acting all around, but they did a spin-off series called Sweet Life on Deck after as a follow-up, and then they tried to do another series after that, and I think one of the Sprouse twins does an interview about it, and it really shows you how twisted Disney was, because, and correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, but apparently what happened was, after Sweet Life on Deck, they were, riding high, everything was good, and they tried to pitch another show to Disney, and Disney wanted them to star alongside or be replaced with Selena Gomez, and they just laughed in their face and left, because it was compromising what their entire vision was. It was like Disney was, oh, that's great, but let's do it this way. These guys had two really successful series. They had more than enough sway to do what they wanted, and Disney was just like, no, we're going to do it our way. And so they just walked away. And now one of them owns a meadery, and the other one is still acting. I think, is it Cole Sprouse that's still acting? Looks like it, because he plays Jughead on Riverdale, and nothing like the comics. Ugh, Riverdale. Ugh. CW garbage. I mean, good for him that he's still working. And then it's Cole or Dylan who owns the meadery. And he still does some acting on the side by the looks of things, but, let's see. Looks like Sprouse is a co-founder and brand ambassador of Thor's Skyer, an American-made high-protein cultured dairy product. Interesting. So it looks like he's a bit of an entrepreneur. Good for him. Last I checked, he was making mead. He's an owner of the All Wise Meadery in Brooklyn. Good for him. Another Disney star who got away fairly clean. So, hey, I'm not going to complain. But Sweet Life was good. And I'll just say Sweet Life on Deck was, I think it carried some of that momentum, and then it lost it towards its end. It was just kind of like, okay, when is this thing going to be over? But I think it was fine. It was fine. Hannah Montana. Okay, the one that launched the career of one Miley Cyrus. Starred Miley Cyrus, Emily Osment, Mitchell Musso, Jason Earls, who is deceptively young looking. He was in his 40s when he filmed this, I believe. Yeah, he's age 46, but he was in his late 30s, early 40s when he filmed Hannah Montana. Billy Ray Cyrus. Boy, he's a mess. He's just about as much of a mess as his daughter was. Unbelievable. Moses Aries. What happened to him? Did he fall off the map? Appeared as a patient on an episode of The Good Doctor, so it looks like he's getting some smaller roles, but he was pretty good as, was it Rico? Yeah, Rico. Okay. Jason Earls has been on Disney Channel for years now. He's been on some Disney XD stuff and some original movies, and he's played a little bit of everything. He's just kind of an iconic actor. Mitchell Musso, I don't know what he does. He was a good singer, I know that much. But he was kind of overshadowed by Miley Cyrus. And this is where we were also introduced to Selena Gomez for Disney. Technically, she was in Barney and Friends, but who remembers her from that? She was remembered as the rival to Hannah Montana, and whose name escapes me. I'll be honest, it was entertaining for the first season, and it was one of those things where, yeah, I'll watch it with my sister, but, yeah, it was 2006 to about 2011, so it was still on by the time I had moved states. I moved in 2011, and, I think I saw it through to the end just to see the ending, but I just was like, nah, this is too much teenage girl stuff for me, so, the B-plots with, Jackson was her brother's name, the Jason Earls character. It was pretty decent, but not as good as, say, like Jake from Lizzy Maguire, or even Pim from Phil of the Future. Just not the greatest B-plots, if I'm remembering correctly. Cory in the House, the spin-off of That's So Raven, shouldn't have worked. I mean, Cory was an insanely entertaining character, and it shouldn't have worked, but because he was so entertaining, because the Victor character was so entertaining, they were able to build a good supporting cast. Madison Pettis absolutely stole the show as a young president's daughter, whose name escapes me. She's only, I know she was young, but she's only 25. I would have thought she was older than that by now. I don't know what she does now. Doesn't really say. Okay. Yeah, and obviously Rondell Sheridan returns as Victor. He's one of the chefs for the president. Maria Walsh, she had that Brazilian accent. I don't know what she's done too. She was in Mean Girls too. Oh, okay. Oh, that's different. I didn't even know there was a Mean Girls too. She's on Desperate Housewives. Cool. So it looks like most of them made out pretty good. Jason Dolly. His name is so familiar. What else did he do besides Cory in the House? Okay, he was in Good Luck Charlie. So it looks like he got to carry on Disney Channel a little bit longer than the others. And then Kyle Massey. Oh, Kyle. He was born a year before me. He got in some trouble lately. I don't think it was his brother. What's his name? Chris Massey, who was on Zoe 101. But he got into some trouble. I think he got Me Too'd. So it's a shame because he was a great actor. He really was. Cory in the House and That's So Raven, his Cory character was truly awesome. I'm just looking over at Checkered Past to see if it's any good episodes of Billy and Mandy. Okay, back to the list. Wizards of Waverly Place. This is actually, I believe some of this stuff is on YouTube. They have some first episodes or first couple episodes on YouTube just to try to draw people in. Selena Gomez's major starring role in a Disney show. David Henry, Jake T. Austin, Jennifer Stone, Maria Canals-Barina. She's in a lot of stuff. She's in a whole lot of stuff. David DeLuise, son of Dom DeLuise, the legendary Dom DeLuise. Pretty funny. Really good as that character. Really nice. The whole wizard thing is the hook of that, kind of like the psychic powers and That's So Raven. Their hook is that they're all wizard. Very much playing off of the Harry Potter hype that was going on at the time, and I mean, that was massive. And Warner Brothers is trying to rebuild that whole franchise, it seems. I don't know if they'll be successful, but I mean, man, this was clearly, they outright parodied Harry Potter in several episodes. They weren't even trying to hide it, but I thought it was a good enough show. Again, still leaning in heavy on the whole teenage girl thing, but I think Selena Gomez is a great actress. So, it is what it is. I mean, it's not my absolute favorite, but then again, what is? Then there's Sweet Life on Deck. Already talked about that a little bit. Sunny with a Chance. Sunny with a Chance is a show that I would personally consider tragic, because I think it was really good. But unfortunately, I mean, it starred Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato, we all know all of the problems. She dumped out all of the problems that she was going through. I think, unfortunately, she ruined any further chance, no pun intended, of that show going on. Only 2 seasons. It probably should have had a third. They tried to spin it off into the show within a show, so random, they could have their own all that. Didn't really work very good. Starred Demi Lovato, Tiffany Thornton, Sterling Knight, Brandon Michael Smith, Doug Brochu, Allison Ashley Arm. She was a younger one. What is she doing now? 27. Heather Wilmore and NBC's AP Bio, co-owner of Watch the Footage Productions, and has been producing since 2016. See, a lot of these Disney Channel stars that are younger and just, they got out while the getting out was good. They just took smaller roles on, like, 3-letter network series. They did fine. Unless you're Demi Lovato, or I guess Christy Carlson Romano had some problems, or certainly Lindsay Lohan. Ew. Yeah, she's doing better, although you can tell that her struggles took a beating. Like, Lindsay Lohan sounds very tired when she speaks. She looks very swollen. She looks better. She definitely looks a lot better, but you can tell she's been recovering for a long time. I think being in Dubai has done her some good, though. She seems very soft-spoken and just, I don't know. She seems like she's on the other end of it, but it was a rough road getting there, no doubt. You feel bad for some of these kids, but a lot of them made it out. A lot of these names that you don't hear about anymore, they just went on to do really good things. But Sunny with a Chance was tragic because of everything that Demi Lovato went through, and they could have probably drawn the series out a little bit longer, but they chose not to for one reason or another, and it's a shame. It's really a shame, because she could have gone on to probably do other stuff. She had done the Camp Rock movies. She still had a decent singing career, but now she's just an absolute mess. Then you have Jonas. This is about where I stopped watching Disney Channel, and that was just, nah. I was sick of the Jonas Brothers by that point, and I just I didn't want to hear it anymore. So, some of the anime series, The Proud Family, wasn't allowed to watch The Proud Family originally. I think my mom felt like it was too similar to The Simpsons, even though it really wasn't. We saw the pilot episode, me and my sister laughed our butts off at the pilot episode. It was so funny. It was hilarious. Loved it. Absolutely love it. I need to go back and watch the full series. It's been years since I've seen, because I did eventually go back and watch the series, and I thought it was great, but it's been years since I've done so. Kim Possible, this is it's sort of a blended series, you know. It's sort of mixed in terms of like who it's for. Like on the surface, it looks like it's for teenage girls, but there's also some stuff in there for boys who are watching it. There's a lot of action scenes that they're into, but you know, it's life of a teenage girl, and then she saves the world on occasion, and it's kind of balanced. I wouldn't call it a superhero show so much as a action adventure / slice of life show. Very weird animation style, very weird, but well voice acted. Christy Carlson Romano and the legendary Will Friedle. Nancy Cartwright, legendary, as Bart Simpson. She played Rufus. Taj Mowry as Wade. I couldn't think of his name for a minute, the computer geek. John DiMaggio as Dr. Draken did phenomenal. He does so good with villain roles. I don't know what it is. I guess it's his laugh. And then Nicole Sullivan as Shigo, who also did fantastic. Just wonderful voice acting across the board. It was a great show. Had 2 movies. 4 seasons, 87 episodes from what years? 2002 to 2007. So, pretty good show. Then they did a live action movie, which I only saw the Christy Carlson Romano cameo, and then I was like, I don't care about this. Lilo and Stitch, the series. In middle school, back in 2004, 2005, me and my friends were obsessed with Lilo and Stitch, because they had started this whole thing with Stitch the movie, and the series was centered around the experiments. It kind of felt like a Pokemon-esque thing. They gotta catch all the extra experiments and find them new homes. They had a bunch of video games and made-for-TV movies. They did Stitch the movie, and then they did Lilo and Stitch 2, which was surprisingly good. Then they did Leroy and Stitch, which was also surprisingly good. Really, really good franchise. And then they did one other Stitch series that was originally in Japanese. Then I think they translated it to American, or maybe it's the other way around. Really good franchise. Love Lilo and Stitch, always will. It's a shame that Disney doesn't. They kind of just put it in the vault, and now they're not really mentioning it anymore. The original Lilo and Stitch movie was phenomenal. It really was. Has a lot of heart. It's very realistic at times. Just really, really good movie. Dave the Barbarian. Remember it? It was, it was a cartoon. That's all I can really say about it. It was a cartoon. Starred Danny Cooksey as Dave. What else did he do? He was in a lot of stuff. He was in Different Strokes, The Kavanaughs, Shaolin Showdown, Salute Your Shorts, Tiny Toon Adventures. Oh yeah, that's right. He was Montana Max. And I'm sorry, my dog is barking like crazy. Erica Luthrell, Canadian actress. Tress MacNeille, Kevin Michael Richardson. So really a star-studded cast, but it only lasted 1 season, 21 episodes. So it didn't really get off the ground very well. It really didn't. Alright, let's see. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. This one it got 2 seasons. It ran from 2004 to 2006. Starred Kaylee Cuoco from show with the nerds that nobody likes, or everybody says they don't like. Big Bang Theory. Charlie Adler, legendary, from Tiny Toon Adventures and several series. Tom Kenny and a whole bunch of Jennifer Hale. Whole bunch of other really good voice talent, but it was a funny show. I just remember it being a funny show from pilot to finish. The dog and rabbit trapped in the Amazon rainforest. Charlie Adler, just everything he's in. Cow and Chicken, Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, Tiny Toon Adventures. I think he was in I Am Weasel. Rocko's Modern Life. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. A very underrated show. People don't talk about it very much anymore. American Dragon, Jake Long. A lot of people remember this one. A lot of high action. Again, Amy Bruckner as the little sister. Lauren Tom, Jeff Bennett. This one ran for 2 seasons, 52 episodes, 2005, 2007. Still talked about to this day by a lot of people. Not my favorite, but it was good. I think it was to balance out sort of the teenage girl aspect that was happening at the time. Like, why don't we do something for the boys? And we'll do this. And the B-plots will be centered around the little sister, so they'll have something for her. The Emperor's New School. I think this originally premiered on ABC Family, or not ABC Family, ABC Kids, which was the replacement for Disney's One Saturday Morning at the time. Spin-off of easily my favorite modern Disney animated movie of all time, The Emperor's New Groove. Oh, such a fantastic movie. Love that movie. Hilarious, laugh out loud funny. The show, not so much. The show wasn't great. But you still had some legends. You had Jessica DeChico, Patrick Warburton, Eartha Kitt, and then a couple other ones that I haven't heard of. Lasted for 2 seasons, 52 episodes. That seemed to be pretty standard for most of the animated series from around the mid-2000s. 2006 to 2008, January 27th. 2006 to November 20th, 2008. So I had just moved by the time the show had ended. I had moved in May of 2008. The Replacements. This one kind of came and went. I'm surprised it was more than one season. Nancy Cartwright, Gray Delisle, Kath Soucie, Jeff Bennett, Lauren Tom, Tara Strong, D. Bradley Baker, Candy Milo. Really legendary voiced cast. I remember this was one of the first major Disney animated series that featured Gray Delisle prominently. Didn't realize Nancy Cartwright, was she the brother on this? Let's look. Yeah, I believe she was. I don't see it here, but yes, she was the brother. Okay, that makes sense because she was really good at voicing because of obviously Bart Simpson and the like. But The Replacements was a show that, I mean, it had a catchy theme song, but other than that, it just wasn't memorable. So I just kind of zoned out with it. I watched it, but it didn't do anything. Interesting animation style. Phineas and Ferb. Wow. I mean, what can be said? I think this was Disney's swan song as far as animated series. It had a fantastic finale, had great musical numbers, great A and B plots between Phineas and Ferb, or A, B, and C plots, really, because you had Phineas and Ferb, you had Candace, and then you had Perry the Platypus, which sold the show for me. Him and Doofenshmirtz, oh my gosh, the Doofenshmirtz Perry thing was just so fun. Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. I mean, and this was the swan song for me, because this is when I decided to stop watching Disney after this was over. I just kind of stopped, because at that point YouTube was just dominant, and it was great. Just legendary voice cast, absolutely legendary. Oh yeah, that's where Mitchell Musso was. I forgot. D. Bradley Baker, Carolyn Ray, Ashley Tisdale, Allison Stoner. A lot of Disney alumni made it into Phineas and Ferb, and a couple of new folks, and Dan Povenmire and Jeff Marsh, 2 legendary animators. I think Dan Povenmire had worked on Simpsons, and I think Jeff Marsh he had done, he did King of the Hill, Rocko's, The Simpsons, Pete the Cat. He did a lot. And then Dan Povenmire did Family Guy, Phineas and Ferb, Milo Murphy's Law, Rocko's Modern Life, SpongeBob, Simpsons. Those guys had work. They had done a lot of legendary work. So, just great series. And that's not even to mention the original animated movie, or the original movies. Some of them were animated. I don't think there were a lot of original animated movies. Most of them were live action. Everything from Under Wraps to Brink to Halloween Town, Xenon, Smart House, Johnny Tsunami, Genius, Don't Look Under the Bed, Horse Sense, Jumping Ship, Up, Up, and Away, The Color of Friendship, Alley Cat Strike, Rip Girls, Miracle in Lane 2, Stepsister from Planet Weird, Ready to Run, Quince, The Other Me, Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, Phantom of the Megaplex, The Ultimate Christmas Present, Xenon the Sequel, Motocross, Luck of the Irish, Hounded, Jet Jackson the Movie, on and on it goes. Just great original movies. Not totally original plot-wise. A lot of them were based on books and things, but, I mean, they were cinema-level quality films that just were must-see television. I think most people ended up recording a lot of those movies, and it was just fun. It was just they were just fun. And I remember just having a blast watching most of them. Not all of them were hits. Didn't really care for Xenon. That was more of a teen girl adventure. Although some of the sci-fi elements were cool, even though the CGI by today's standards, oh boy. Oh man, were those dated. Are those dated? Oh boy. Ugh. But still fun for the time. You know, just... Oh man, all the different animated series. They had the Disney Afternoon stuff, and I mean, Disney Channel just had an awesome legacy, and it just kind of all got reduced once Disney Plus came on the scene. And then even leading up to that, they were just cutting back programming and not spending as much money, and just television just was a losing prospect. And I think Disney saw that and said, well, we don't want to invest in television anymore. And so that's what they do now, is they just marathon some of their more popular, newer content on Disney Channel, Freeform, ABC. And then they got all their ESPN stuff, FX, FXX, and, you know, it's just, they got plenty of television networks, National Geographic Wild. But Disney Channel just got left in the dust, and it's a shame because the name Disney Channel used to invoke so much excitement for probably 3 or 4 generations at least. 30, 40 years at least. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. It's probably coming up on 40-some years now. It's crazy. Went from being a premium, separate payment cable channel to a expanded cable channel, like an expanded basic cable channel, down to effectively Disney Plus, which brought them back to that. I mean, it's really crazy, but boy, Disney Channel was something special, and I have a lot of special memories from it. And I'm sure you do too, if you were around for late 90s, early 2000s era. I mean, that was when they jam-packed the network with all the stuff I listed, and with other things. There's all the programs between programs, because they had commercial breaks that were just promo breaks. They didn't have actual commercials that were sponsored. They just had all these lengthy promo breaks, and even those were worth sticking around for. They used to preview video games. They used to have sort of behind-the-scenes discussions with some of the stars about being kids, and it was a great place to be. And now it's just Disney Channel in name only. It's just a skeleton crew, and maybe if you guys are interested, I'll make a video talking about what it is now and why it's just so disappointing. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. This has been Super Koopa TV. Leave a comment down below talking about your Disney and Disney Channel memories. I will see you guys hopefully in the next video. God bless. Have a good one. Peace.